chord progression is simply A, D, and then A again. But it might not sound like it, and that is for one specific reason, and that is because all these chords are major seventh chords. That means that instead of just playing the root chord, just A, then D, then A, I'm adding the seventh scale degree to each chord. That makes it sound like this. Now for that last A7, I'm making it a different voicing than the first A7 chord. To learn how to use this chord progression, let's first talk about what seventh chords are. And to do that, I usually like going to the key of C, because using a C chord is usually the easiest way to demonstrate this. So I'm playing a normal C chord. That's a normal C major chord. If I take off the top C, which is the second string, the first fret, if I just take that off, now it's a B note, and that sounds like this. Now that is what makes it a major seventh chord, because I'm taking the octave or the root note and I'm moving it down to a seventh scale degree. In other words, in the key of C, we have 7 notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you count up, the seventh one of those notes was B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That is why it is a major seventh chord, because of that seventh scale degree right there. Now, there's another way to think about this as well, because sometimes with other keys, it's not the simplest thing in the world to go, oh, what's the seventh note in this scale? So the easier way to do this is to take the root note of the chord. In this case, since the chord is the C, the root note is C. If we move that down half a step, we're going to have a major seventh chord. That's a C major seventh chord. I usually like having it higher in the voicing, so instead of using this as our B note, I use the higher C and move that down to a B note. Now let's think about this in the context of the chord progression we were just talking about. So going back to this A chord, let's just start with the normal A chord. Like I said, to make it a major seventh, we just take the root, which is in this case A, and we move it down half a step. Now instead of just moving it down right here, that makes a major seventh chord, but I want to show you a different voicing first, which is the voicing I used in the chord progression I played. So instead of playing A with 3 fingers, one of these ways, instead I want you to bar it and then play this 4th fret of that topmost string right here. I think that is the best A major seventh voicing for this progression. So start with that right there. Now we're going to a D major 7, and it's actually really simple to do this. A normal D chord would look like this. To make it a major 7th, we're moving that D note, which is the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We're moving that down half a step again. Now we can just play this as a bar chord as well. So if we just hit those top 4 strings, that's a D major 7th chord. So practice switching back and forth from A major 7 to D major 7. Basically all you have to do is take off that pinky and just make sure you're not covering the 4th string with your 1st finger. You did that for the A chord, but for the D chord that needs to be open. So for A, for D. Okay, now there was one more chord in this progression, and it was once again another A major 7th, just a different voicing. This time, go back to the 3-finger version that plays the A chord and move that 3rd string note down a half step. Now there is your last A major 7th. So the difference in those voices is pretty dramatic. So it really adds nice contrast within the progression. Now you can play this multiple ways. I played it sort of with a little melody. Or you can just play it straight up. That sounds nice as well. I think major 7th chords are one of the most unused things for guitar players. we really don't use major 7th chords often, and I feel like we should use them more often because they really do sound beautiful. So one more time, the chords were A major 7th, which is just an A with the 4th fret of the 1st string added, D major 7, which is just a normal D chord, but instead you just bar the entire 2nd fret, and then another A major 7th chord, which this one right here, you just move that 3rd string 2nd fret down to a 3rd string 1st fret. Alright, have fun with the progression.